so with this, we've kind of talked about how, music is a vehicle of worship. It's a vehicle by which God communicates his gospel. And, that really does bring us down to um, one of the unique things here at Emmanuel. And that is the fact that we have two distinct styles of service, one common message. They are in a sense both liturgical. It's just different styles of liturgical. And when we look at them, we in our LCMS history, we are known for doing traditional worship and doing it styles of worship, I should say, and doing it very well. And on the other side, some people have had kind of hesitancy about, utilizing a more modern style of music and everything. And one thing that you and I talked about when I first came here is the desire for us to be less focused on, what type of instrumentation we utilize, but at the same time making sure, and more focused on making sure that in our worship we're communicating not only the theme for the day, but also our theology of worship. And so rather than trying to imitate what other churches are doing, I know especially you kind of set out to design our second service to reflect, yes, our Lutheran heritage, but to also fill that need of another style that may communicate with people's hearts in a different way. And so could you kind of describe for us how you went about designing this modern liturgy, for lack of a better phrase, that we're utilizing in the 11 o'clock service?
For people who love to nerd out on liturgical terms, I started to look at the service that we use, and we're going to call it the Mass of the service. So that liturgical setting, there are things that we call the ordinary. And those are the things that we're going to use from week in to week out. Things that are not the part of the proper are things that get changed from week to week out. So you think of the Kyrie that you sing, or the Gloria, or the Sanctus, or the Agnus Dei. Those are things that we use week in, week out. If those texts that we take, and those are all biblical texts, right? And they came to us through history over the past, really over the past 1700 years of church history. When we use those texts, we look at different clever ways to set them. And when I think of a Kyrie, I think, well, okay, if I have those texts, the Lord have mercy and the Christ have mercy, if I take that and I set that for an instrumentation that is in a modern text, we're still delivering the exact text of that liturgy, but we're delivering it in a specific way. And I'm not comparing myself to Bach in any way, but that's what Bach did. When he set the Mass in B minor, he set the Kyrie in a way that was specific to his time and his place and to his church as he was serving there. And that's what we're trying to do. How's it going to best reach people, and how do we get them to be engaged in the liturgy? Because liturgy is worship as well. And so people are responding to those gifts that God is bringing to us in worship, and we are simply going back to the vehicles. We are using that vehicle to bring them forward.
No, and that's awesome. And that was one thing that I really have appreciated, especially in our first year of really kind of piloting this style of service, is the fact that if you're looking for maybe things, if you grew up Lutheran and you're looking for all of these different elements, you'll find them there. But even if you're kind of newer to the Lutheran Church and you come in there, it's not something that you have to have the history to understand. And with the modern setting of our divine service, I think it really does communicate to people, whether you are new to the Christian faith or whether you've been a lifelong Christian. You can walk into our service and you can see all the elements you would see at our traditional service at 8:30.
That's funny.
Sorry, yeah, sorry that you would find at our 8:30 service, but you'll just find it in a new modern setting. And so I really do appreciate all that you've done. And if you are interested in more, I encourage you to contact the church office and talk to Chris, because it really, I know it was probably 2 years worth of composing the different settings.
I set several versions of each. And also, I think one of the things is that I believe that we have a different approach in is that it's also a ministry. And so we have men and women that God has given to us to use in this church service. And so I wanted it to not only be able to speak to the people in the congregation, but I wanted it to be successfully performed by the people who God gave us to work with, right? So it doesn't matter if you've got a choir, you pick music for them that they can accomplish. Same thing for this. We're trying to find things that are wonderful for the congregation to listen to, but that make for us what I believe is an open and inviting, hey, come and be a part. Whether you're serving as an elder or an usher or anybody else. But if you think that you'd like to be part of our team, we'd love to have you and we'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, no, and that is a very that's a very distinct need that I think all churches have is for many hands to be at work when it comes to all of our ministry, but specifically in worship. And as you're watching this video, it's very easy to look up and maybe you see our praise team up there and you're like, well, I can't play the guitar, or there's no way for me to serve in that way. Or, if you're like me, no one's going to ask you to sing a solo. And yet, just because a person is up front reading the scriptures or helping lead in music, just because that's not one of your skill sets doesn't mean that there isn't a place for you to serve. If anything, those of us that are up front are just a small part of what goes into a Sunday morning. And so, however it is that you feel like if you're feeling like you're being led to serve, just come and talk to us, because I guarantee there's a place for you to come and serve, to serve our Lord, and also to help be one of those vehicles that God uses to deliver His goods to God's people. So again, just because you see people up front doesn't mean that that's all that's going on. There's lots of people that make our services happen,